Good evening, and welcome to Nightfall in Amsterdam. Tonight we're joining a group of, I'd say mages, but we have Aaron, who has made it quite clear he is not one of those. Um, so I suppose the term will workers would be more appropriate. Uh, Regardless, the local will workers have called for a conclave to kind of discuss what exactly in the hell is going on in this city. Number of concerns, a lot of things going on that are outside their control, which is not acceptable, and has invited everyone to the Embassy of the Free Mind, which is a museum put together to uh, celebrate, embrace, and promote the eclectic, the esoteric, and the mystic. Specifically tonight being hosted by Akalis and Crispin, who are two of the large financiers behind the embassy. As you guys arrive, it's an older stone building. Um, you can see lights are on, but the curtains are all drawn. And there is a gentleman manning the front door who seems to be waving people in. Sign that states it's a private party. And you can hear a number of people milling about inside. For those of you who are new to the city, you would have gotten word from others in that community.
Oh, see, one of you guys can go first.
Okay, so a Japanese man dressed in a forest green t-shirt and a pair of slacks will roll up to this little museum. Just kind of nod his way in. If there's a weapon check or whatever, he'll turn in his sword, but if not, then he'll just walk in with it. It's kind of under a jacket, so it's not immediately obvious, but well, it is what it is.
There is not a weapons check, so you're good there.
Cool.
So a rather American-looking man steps out of an Uber. He's dressed rather formally, in a black suit and tie. He heads up towards the what the absolute hell is this on the side? Marcus, whatever the hell you're doing. Anyway, he stops at the man and displays his seal of Solomon. And once he's ushered inside, he just walks in, pretty much like he owns the place.
Fair enough. He would see that the rest of the order is in fact present as well.
Well, I guess since Marcus is being kind of quiet on us, Valkyrie would slowly approach. She would not really know anyone unless her contact, John knows who, would be with her. Other than that, she's just going to be as formal and polite as possible.
Your contact is present.
If he's present, then she'd be following his lead at the moment.
All right. And he's kind of just weaving through, getting mingling a little bit.
She would follow him at points that he made it apparent he did not mind, but at any point he seemed to be having a private conversation, she would step away and get a drink, that sort of thing.
John actually heads over towards his order people and, just kind of stands there, makes small talk as they, talk to him. He still has no idea what the hell he's doing here in this city.
Most of the order who is present are discussing the embassy. They had a hand in the collection, provided a number of books and artifacts and stuff. And Angel of the Thanatos does kind of come over as well and thank them for helping put everything together. Most of his work and contribution has been research more than actual items, but he's quite impressed with everything they've managed to provide.
Aaron will show up. It's at a museum, right?
Correct.
Okay. Is there like a doorman?
Yep.
Okay. I walk past him unless he stops me.
Nope.
And it's the picture. If you want to see what Aaron looks like, is a dude of African descent. He has kind of a fro-ish thing. He wears round shades like Dwayne Wayne, and he has a beard, like a trench coat, and a briefcase. And he wears like these just black boots. He walks in jeans and a t-shirt, like his uniform, and he walks around looking for people he knows. He doesn't speak. He's learned that speaking is very bad. Are people just milling about?
Yeah, at this point.
He has he waits a whole 5 minutes before he says anything. He goes, "This is the conclave, right?"
Sorry.
And then John just shudders and goes, "Oh God, he's here."
Where the mages are supposed to gather. This is the right place, right?
Somebody shut him up.
I believe it's where it's supposed to be, yes.
Oh, good, because no one was saying anything and there was no sign. I got lost using the Uber, and I heard it was social, so I drank something.
Hey, John, what would be the role required to put like a cone of silence over his mouth for about 2 turns?
Good question.
It's probably just a basic forces effect, I think.
Should just be Forces 2, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I would think so.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I need to look at the commands again on how to...
You using like a blatant foci? Are you pointing a wand at him or something?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Aaron would see this John, who he met the other night when they blew up a building together, point a stick at him.
What's the difficulty?
It would be I'm going to say a 6. There's no one here who would qualify as a witness, but it's definitely vulgar.
That's not what I wanted. Oh, no. Yeah, so I got 3 successes.
All right. 3 successes would be success, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So probably mid-speech, I imagine.
Yep. In a very Harry Potter-esque way, John takes a stick out of his back pocket, points it at Alric, and says, "Silencio!" and then puts it away.
At this point, Valkyrie moves away from the group over to the nearest person serving drinks and goes, "Yes, may I have another champagne, please? Apparently I'm going to need it tonight."
Then you do get another drink, and a couple of the hermetics are. You see him kind of talking, and one of them's rubbing his forehead, and he goes, "Yep, definitely a flambeau."
She's going to grab a second drink and she's going to take it to the one who got silenced and hand it to him. And then go back to standing by her, I guess we'll call him Godfather.
The person who you handed to goes, he mouthed. He just starts mouthing things.
She raises an eyebrow at him and then raises her glass and goes, "Cheers till you can talk again."
He does he mimics the movements that you just did.
John walks over to the nearest waiter and says, "I just need the biggest bottle of scotch you've got, and keep it coming."
And you would notice at that point a couple of the one of the individuals there, Kalish, kind of motions to the waiter, and he says, "We can certainly accommodate. I can't promise it's going to be the fanciest one you'll find in the city."
Look, I don't care if it makes me blind or not. Just keep it coming.
And the guy in the dark coat kind of nudges him and says, "Kalish, I thought you were uptight about things, but I think the hermetics got you beat. You'd think they'd be used to speaking bluntly, but..."
Not in a public setting.
And Crispin chuckles and he says, "Right, new guy. Museum is secure. He kind of gestures between the two of them and he says, we collectively own it. It's closed for the night to the public. And the doorman would have stopped you if you didn't pick up the mystical about you.
Okay, fair enough. Still, that guy needs, lessons in etiquette.
Is it that much better to blatantly perform magic in what you think is a public setting?
Well, at that point, he'd already blown the laws of shade right out the window. So, damned if
So
you do.
You're just going to make yourself a criminal as well?
I don't think you really know who I am. My name's Jonathan Blackwell Moore. The technocracy has a kill order on me, no matter what. So, bring it on.
So you're just going to make yourself a bigger target then?
Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps a more obvious one?
Like I said, they have a kill order on me. As soon as they see me, it's game on.
Fair enough. Although I think in that case there could be better options than silencing a potential ally.
He'll regain the ability to talk in. He looks at his watch. 5 minutes, give or take. I mean, less if he figures out how to unwork it. I mean,
Are all hermetics like that? Or is it just you?
yeah, pretty much. Some of us have, manners, but most of us not really.
At least you're self-aware, I suppose. He'll actually extend a hand and say, "I'm Ryden. It's a pleasure to meet you."
John takes his hand and says, "Pleasure to meet you too, lad." You can detect a very, well, it's not very subtle. It's definitely blatant South Boston accent.
I will give you that it was impressive for being on short notice, if that means anything to you.
Yeah. You're welcome for my service.
At this point, Valkyrie's going to whisper to her contact. So, is it always like this stiff and serious here?
He leans back and says, "Well, we do have a number of hermetics.
That makes sense then.
They tend to be a little uptight, although there's a couple of outliers here." And he kind of points out a couple of them, and he says they're usually a little more tolerable to talk to.
She'll kind of nod and she goes, "Do they have to deal with the whispers all day also?"
He says, "I think they deal with their own whispers."
She kind of like looks at her champagne flute and she goes, "I might need something stronger than this then. This seems like it's going to either be super noisy or super stern this evening."
He says, "Well, that's possible. I think Mr. Kalish had some things he wanted to mention here initially."
So is he like us? Is he just some rich guy who knows about us?
No, he's one of the more capable ones in our group.
Good to know. We need some stronger people who can. And she looks at Blackwell when she says this. Control their tempers.
funny you should say that, actually. Everybody within a 10-foot radius would know that the area has taken a definite uptick in the temperature.
Well, I guess you're going to tell me what you normally tell me. Go play nice with people my age.
He chuckles and he says, well, I think Mr. Kalish is going to give his briefing and then open the floor to anyone who has information to share.
Well,
So,
it'll be interesting to hear what's been happening since I left. Could be more amusing than talking to the wind, she says, and she will go get another drink near, I guess, where the others are standing.
at that point, Kalish kind of steps up onto the stairs and he says, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Start with a thank you to everybody who's helped put together this project. I understand people have some concerns with things like having a museum about the mystical. But inspiring a touch of belief seemed to be the most prudent thing we could do. Also gives us a good hold on the city. It's a powerful asset. That being said, we do have other concerns we have to consider. A couple of things we want to bring up. We seem to have a matter of some religious conflicts occurring.
Can Aaron hear at this point?
Yes.
He just raises his hand.
He acknowledges you.
Is that more important than the people that are trying to blow up the city and take over and contact another world?
Well, it seems to me we may have some other information that we need to discuss as well.
Is it more important than the people that are filming and taking all the religious artifacts from the people who I didn't ask how their superpowers work?
He kind of raises a hand and he says, let me just finish up with this part, and it may tie in, but it sounds like you have a number of pieces to the puzzle that we do not.
I was unaware of your protocols. I'm sorry.
And he will, he continues with what he's discussing. He says, well, my concern is we must do our best to diffuse these conflicts. Recognize that we do have differences of opinion. However, as I mentioned, we need to be cognizant. Belief is an important part of what we do and who we are. Encourage your own beliefs, and certainly, but must again be prudent not to do so in such a way that it incites aggression against others. Next thing is the buying of historic buildings. Seems the enemy is acquiring a number of historic sites and retrofitting them. But we don't know the purpose for this. I suspect it is with the intent that they can otherwise remove the import of those buildings to us, detract from their mystical essence, as it were. Third and final thing would be that myself and Mr. Crispin here have unified our similar societies to help better organize our efforts, maintain the mystical, and empower it. Our resources will become more widely listed once we've established ourselves a little further. And we hope that we can work cooperatively. It sounds like you have a number of additional pieces of information. It's certainly beneficial to add.
Are you talking to me? Because it sounds a lot like you're talking to me.
Well, at this point, we're going to invite anyone to share information that they may have, and given it sounds like you have quite a bit, I suggest we start with you.
You suggest, does everyone need to agree with that, or is there a show of hands, or do I just start talking more?
Oh, for God's sake, man, just get on with it.
I may need this whiskey a double, please.
The explosion that was suffered on the night of, and he tells the night when the explosion happened, was not random. I and some of my accomplices, who shall remain nameless, mostly because they hate me, blew up a building, but not because it was fun. Normally, if I do blow up a building, it is because it's for fun. But this was not for fun.
We don't hate you. We just wish you would follow conventions a little more.
You're doing that thing where you talk. Please stop. So
John reaches back for his wand again. Do you really want to shut up for another 15 minutes, or do you want to just continue?
I don't want to start a fight in front of a bunch of mages, because that would make me look like a child.
Okay, Valkyrie is ordering a scotch now, walking over to Blackwall and handing it to him.
He takes it and says, "Hi, thanks, lass."
She nods. Give him his 5 minutes, and then he'll stop.
You promise?
On my namesake.
Can I talk again?
Yes.
Okay. The reason that their building was exploded was because there seemed to be a machine that combined elements of hyper technology along with mysticism. It was some sort of hodgepodge device that was using its power to reach into another dimension to send a signal to somewhere. We were able to jam the signal and gain a few more other pieces of information, but that would mean that there's a faction that uses both sorts of magic, enlightened science, and that other stuff, and is just kind of operating under the radar. Had anybody else run into anything like that?
And you'll notice a couple of them kind of look around. And
Does everybody know what hypertechnology is?
I'd appreciate a refresher if you wouldn't mind.
Hypertechnology is science that can exist, but generally doesn't because, well, the technocracy doesn't want it to, or because people are too stupid to figure out how it works. One of the two usually happens, but it can be used as a tool in order to make magic work. That's what I'm supposed to say. They said that's what I'm supposed to say. But yes, this was combining traditional hypertech methods with non-traditional hypertech methods, generally quote unquote mystical talismans. I took pictures, which I can disseminate at the behest of people who actually want pictures. That was what was concerning because I did not understand that such a thing could exist. I was told the two were separate, kind of like colors and whites when you wash the clothes. I thought there was not the same thing happening. It concerned me because it was sending out some sort of signal, and no one seemed to notice the signal. And the people who did notice the signal were not, well, we weren't some sort of large group. It was a small group that seemed to be concerned, and we went there. But what concerned me more is that this took time to set up. This thing was not a one-day thing. It took time. It had been there a while. And I was wondering if anybody noticed any strange fluctuations on any of the levels, currents or ways to look other ways. Did anybody notice any strange readings past couple of nights?
Hey, John, out of character question. Would my totem have told me about anything like that? Like any weird readings or anything the last couple nights?
Potentially. You'd probably have gotten some information on some unusual fluctuations on the other side.
I have noticed some of that on the other side, as it were. The sense of a mentor, but I haven't had a chance to go investigate yet.
Oh, well, if you choose to, here's my card. I'm Aaron, by the way. I'm a cyberpunk cleaner, lots of jobs. But that wasn't the only thing that concerned me. Apparently, other things live in the city that are not us. I didn't get into specifics because people always want to hide everything. So I just figured just don't ask questions and simply focus on the task at hand. At any rate, there's a priest. His things were stolen, which led us to elsewhere. Apparently, someone's doing something with religious artifacts of some sort of invisible man in the sky type nature. I've downloaded many hours of video footage, and I have some information that I can pass along to anybody who can operate in an official capacity, like a policeman or CI, some sort of alphabet agency or something like that. Is anybody useful like that here?
And a couple of people are kind of looking around, taking it in.
So what usually happens at these things? One person talks and everybody sits around and drinks, or do we actually get things done?
One of the hermetics comes over. He pulls back his hood. It's actually the first time he had his hood back that anybody could make out any features. And you'll notice his skin is a rather golden hue. And he's got some odd looking, his eyes are kind of an odd color as well. And he says, Aaron, it was?
That is a designation that I've come to be used to called, yes.
Well, what usually happens here is a lot of beating around the bush or talking about what we are going to do, typically. You've been refreshingly blunt. You've provided a large quantity of information, and we collectively are not used to getting bulk data. We're used to getting little bits and pieces and having a lot of time to put it together. So for many of my colleagues, they're still trying to disseminate the first piece of information you gave and haven't even caught up to the second and third.
That's inefficient.
I agree.
From what I understand, that the cyberpunks have told me, it is our job to be a bulwark against the things that most people, the people who don't know how to do the things that we know how to do, and those things that would eat their face. That was the term that was used, eat their face. Yes. So I would like to stop people from getting their faces eaten. Would someone like to help? I can't do this alone. I really can't.
At this point, Valkyrie will raise her hand and she goes, I do not mind helping. I'm not much on the front lines, though.
Neither am I. That's why we need goons. Can we get a goon? Is there a goon?
I'm decent with a sword.
Goon it is. We have a goon. Thank you, sir.
I find myself strangely liking this person now.
She's going to look at Tiger's character. Sorry, I can't see a name for him.
I'll put it in the side chat for you.
Thank you. And she'll be like, I'm sorry he called you a goon. It's nice to meet you.
It's fine. I'm quickly getting used to his way of speaking.
Is that
is
an insult? I'm sorry. Is that an insult? Is that an insult?
She'll, for a moment, she will look up and like she's looking up, like dazing off into a daydream. She goes, "No, I don't think he understands. You get more with honey than vinegar."
Get more what?
The man next to you says it's a colloquial expression.
Is that the complete colloquialism? I can get more with honey?
No, I just typically get more flies with honey than vinegar.
Who collects flies?
It's not a perfect metaphor by any means.
I play lots of online games. Goon is the term we use for people who protect us. Bricks. Stuff like that.
Is that a goon I am?
Because
I think you also mean tank.
If I meant tank, I would have said it.
What online games are you playing?
She's gonna look at Jonathan and just be like, "Will you be joining us, sir?" Almost like a puppy dog face going.
I mean, I'm all for protecting the sleepers. So, whatever we need to do.
Do we need some sort of official capacity to do this? Because I'd really like to just do it. I mean, does someone have to give us some sort of blessing or paperwork or a card or something? All of you people are very strange.
The man next to you says, no, there's no official designations here as far as authority or title. If you act, as long as you do not act actively against other members of our conclave.
Am I a member of the conclave?
Well, you're present, so provided you are here with the intention to act as a member, you would be.
I can accept that. I need designations for the people that will be working with me so that I can get your addresses and cell phone numbers and such. We could exchange data. That would be nice.
Valkyrie holds her hand out to him. Let me see your phone.
Okay.
She will put in her number and title it Valkyrie.
There are no buttons on his phone.
Oh. She looks at it very confused. When we're alone, just the group, I'll give you my number then and hand it back.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm writing. My number is insert phone number here.
Well, thank you. That's very efficient. So when it comes to the protection angle, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it.
Good to know.
I've trained it exclusively in the not getting punched. So I'm very good at not getting punched.
Then
'Cause
that make my job very easy if you don't get punched.
But I'm told I'm not supposed to use it on friends.
I think there are times where he could use a good punching.
We're friends?
If we are working on the same thing, I was told that colleagues is too impersonal.
Well, that's a word I've never had to use before.
Is it because you're slow in development, or is it just like you don't talk a lot?
She doesn't even bother to answer him at this point. She turns around and goes, I would like another drink, please, before the whispers get too strong against him.
John hands her another double of scotch. Says, "Here you go, lass."
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry if I broke up your conclave party, but I would really like to get these things done because these things make me nervous, and there's a really high probability of a lot of people dying, and I don't really want to do that. Unless I'm doing the killing, in which case I don't mind. What's an allowable body count for our enemies if we run into any? Raiden?
All of them.
Raiden, what's our... You're not in charge of protecting. He is. That's why I'm asking him.
I'm just saying, enemies, kill them all.
I feel like that depends on the nature of the enemy. A bunch of sleepers that end up missing or dead is going to cause questions that could be uncomfortable to answer. But if it's us versus them, I would much rather us stay alive than them.
At this point, she is shooting Angle a look of, please help with this fellow.
He kind of looks around and he goes, before we proceed too far, I would like to point out that the priest in question was, I believe, the friar.
He uses a sword. Big sword.
I can't help but notice that among our conclave, the choristers and the Templar have opted not to attend.
Well, that's really no big loss.
Well, if they are the other part of that conflict, it would behoove us to try to get something to hammer out the details, especially given Aaron here has informed us that someone else is causing some of this religious stir-up.
The others that I encountered, I have to send an email. But yes, the others have encountered such other things. They're definitely not us, pretty sure. But I'd ask a whole lot of questions just for, expediency.
Well, that's often a wise decision.
Well, I had no choice. Due to my previous encounter with that one, I learned very quickly that asking any sort of question that would be helpful is bad. So I was just efficient.
And the man next to you with the golden skin says, the traditional logic is ask questions in a roundabout fashion. I realize that's inefficient.
It keeps us from getting blown up.
I wasn't in any danger from anyone magically except you.
You're still in that position.
Valkyrie moves between the gentlemen during the conversation, sipping her scotch.
Dryden has one hand on his sword.
The man with the golden skin says to Aaron, he says, for the sake of stability among those who don't understand the details, I'd ask that you try to be circumspect in your questions moving forward.
Or I could just not ask those questions because information isn't important. We can move along with half-truths. That will get us very far.
And here we are trying to tell you how these things work. And you're just telling us to fuck off.
No.
Now you see why I want to throw you through a window sometimes.
I wasn't telling you to fuck off. I was simply saying how inefficient it is. But I'll do it.
Enough. Please let Mr. Achalis finish speaking.
The gentleman with the golden skin says, before we move too much farther, Mr. Aaron, if you could, here's a contact location for our cloud storage that I used. If you would like to dump information you get there.
It's done.
Excellent. And then he turns back and he says, my apologies for the interruption, Mr. Achalis. If we could hopefully resolve the rest of your intentions with this conclave, I believe we have a large group of individuals here that we want to move forward with. He nods and says, the intention to actively work against these individuals is a good one. Resources can be allotted for that. Aaron, it sounds like you have been working with your the head of the virtual adepts on some of this. He has access to a number of our shared resources and can contact me for the rest. The discussion on religious artifacts and such is certainly concerning as well. Anyone who's volunteering to look into that further would be excellent. As far as the others, we are aware of a group of skin changers in the city. We do not know details or numbers at this point. So far, they have, for the most part, left us unmolested, although they do control their own well springs. As long as they leave ours to us, we suggest that for the current time, we continue to leave them be. There are also, of course, the vampires in the city. We do have a couple of our kind that have mingled into that community, but we must be aware not to share more information than necessary. Are there any other specific questions or concerns?
Only how long do we have to finish these tasks, sir?
These are not assignments, nor do we have a commanding unit here that would indicate a specific deadline. Obviously, time is of the essence if indeed our enemies are actively working against us to establish their own hold. I would say sooner is better, but we are not on a specific deadline at this time. Sounds like the Hermetics are going to review much of the information Mr. Aaron has provided and see what we can come up with out of that. That will be made available to anyone as well. Is there anything else we wish to cover? Do any of the new folks have questions at this point?
Yeah. John is starting to feel his liquor a little bit at this point. Why am I here?
That's really a question you should be asking yourself.
No, the Hermetics we don't do things like that. I'm kind of trying to find out why I was ordered to come here.
The guy with the golden skin goes, unfortunately, he's right. Introspection and self-reflection are not our strong points.
Clearly, but continue.
He turns and he says, you're here because, while we did not have all the details Aaron has provided us, we do know that there are entities actively working to suppress the mystical, as well as to manipulate the beliefs of the sleepers of this city. We've talked about religious conflict. The problem with those is whichever side you believe, when open violence breaks out and people are getting injured or killed on both sides, and we have riots, there are a large number of people who go, we just won't believe in anything. And the modern atheist grounds his beliefs in science. So, whoever's stirring this shit up needs to be dug out. And I'm assuming with this organized effort that they're doing, they have well entrenched themselves. In my experience, well entrenched enemies respond well to being blown up. You're here because they already look for you. So if we're going to have you blowing things up and attracting attention, it might as well be the things we need blown up.
John just nods and says, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
He gestures to himself. He says, also, I have some inconvenient elements that make me a poor public figure.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that, but, details.
A poorly managed experiment at one point.
So what, you want me to be your gopher?
No, but next to you, I'm the next most likely blow up guy. And I can't travel regularly.
Got it.
So we needed a blow up guy who, sure, they might know who you are, but you can blend in easier than I can. And then he kind of looks around and he says, and for the rest of you, this is the one we want to be using if blow everything up becomes the appropriate solution. That's what he's here for. That's what he's good at. And then he looks at you and he says, I will admit you possess an odd dichotomy of encouraged subtlety while being one of the least subtle individuals I've ever seen.
That's because when you guys need me, everything's already gone to pot. And subtlety just goes right out the window at that point.
I wish I could see you were wrong.
Valkyrie's kind of muttering the kind of boy my mama warned me about before she takes another drink.
John just looks at her and says, yeah, but this is the boy who cleans up nice and you can take home to mama.
And one of the other hermetics snorts and says, I don't know that you've cleaned anything up ever.
Hey, look, just because you had to change one diaper doesn't mean shit.
She's looking very confused between the two of them now. And is now moving back towards Angle to stand with him.
You drop a city block on top of a Nefandus and suddenly you never clean up anything. What the hell?
A couple of the other ones kind of laugh a little bit, and Michaela says, right, well, we've got our in-house Unabomber, we've got a man specializing in get the details, and then apparently make sure they're readily available. We appreciate that. And we have some sort of communication. I'd say ultimately that's about all we really need. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss or request? If not,
I did have one question, if you wouldn't mind.
He looks and says, by all means.
Are there any other Akashiana in the city?
A couple of the folks kind of gesture towards the back, and yes, we have two present tonight, although they tend to be more quiet observers. We have Kao Zhang, and she kind of, you see a woman, she's dressed in a sort of a very business suit style, and she gives a bow and she says, she is a nun with the Buddhist Light Temple, as well as a community outreach leader. And then we also have Miss Celine Mays, who runs an interior decorating firm. They are two regular active conclave members, and we appreciate their contributions.
Wonderful. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Yeah, nods and says, anything else then? He looks around and, Mr. Aaron, did you have anything? Any other details we can perhaps provide to allow you to facilitate your goals?
He moves forward like there's a microphone in front of him. He goes, no, thank you.
Well, then, as it seems everyone is sufficiently satisfied with the state of things, we will hold the conclave adjourned, and anyone with further matters is welcome to bring them privately. The rest of the night will be for socializing, mingling, sharing, or partaking in any of the events and resources here. For those of you who do need to recharge a little bit, as is the posted policy, the museum is open to anyone. We just ask that you be respectful and recognize that other people may have to draw from this resource as well.
Oh, I sell bulletproof clothes. I forgot to say that. Sorry.
That is definitely good information to have. Thank you, Aaron.
Valkyrie will nod approvingly at his comments.
The
tack nuke just literally is sitting there just drinking at this point. It's about to get Irish up in here.
She's going to have a cup of coffee sent to him.
and Achilles kind of steps down and gestures, and you get a waiters come out with more food and drink, and he everybody kind of starts mingling around. If there's any specific NPCs you guys want to chat with, let me know.
I mean, besides her asking her contact if he needs her for anything this evening, otherwise she's going to try and get to know the rest of the group of volunteers.
Alright, well, you guys are welcome to chat with one another, get to know one another. Not a bad idea.
The first thing she's going to do is give Blackwell a cup of coffee.
Did you put whiskey in it, lass?
No.
The fuck you doing here then? Get away!
She sits it down beside him. You don't need to get drunk here. He's not worth making you drunk.
It's not him making me drunk, lass. He's not putting the drink in me hand. It's me.
Oh, I assumed you were like some people and drank when you were stressed.
Lass, I'm Irish. I don't need a reason to drink.
Do you have a phone?
Somewhere. It's on my body somewhere, lass. Good luck.
She'll motion Aaron over to them where they're talking also, and to Raiden. Well, if you get your phone out, I'll give you my contact info also, since we're working together.
Aaron walks over and stands quietly.
As does Ryder.
John fishes in his back pocket, consequently the one that has the wand in it, and pulls out a very nice looking cell phone. It's just, here. Don't know why you need it, Mal.
She put in the name.
You only call me in when you need to blow some shit up.
Maybe I'll need something blown up.
Okay.
She type in her name she's been using here, Valkyrie, puts in the number, saves it, hands it back to him, and she'll just tell Aaron and Raiden what her little name and number is, because she can't figure out Aaron's phone to save her.
Thank you.
We're all sort of new in one way or another. You're welcome. So, when do we want to do this?
It seems as soon as we can find out information on it would be the best. This is definitely something that could be dealt with sooner rather than later.
Agreed. And possibly, no offense, we all should be sober for this when we do it.
Lass, I'm at a social function. I'm not out there. Out there, I'll be stone sober. Here, it's free booze. I'm gonna get drunk.
Was that a group? Was that just the group or just the other? Was that
She made sure it was just the group she gave the number to, which included Aaron. She just didn't want anyone she didn't know getting her name and number.
no? I mean, the second statement about when do we want to do this?
Oh,
Is
that
that-
was for the group. Yeah, that was for the mission or task, whatever you want to call it.
Is this the part where I can?
Yes,
Okay.
you can talk whenever you want, man.
That's not true. Well, I would need to assess our strengths and weaknesses. In the broad strokes, I don't need to know specifics. If you could give a 2-word descriptor for your talents in the field, what would they be?
Use sword.
I have some basic combat experience, but I'm much better at supporting others.
Thank you.
I tend to be much better when I'm in a fight and have to fight, though, with a crowbar or a tire iron.
Thank you.
Come on. Besides exploding, what do you do, Mr. Blackwell?
Oh, I'm a firefighter.
She almost smiles there for a moment. Almost. And she goes, "That's a joke, right?"
No, lass. I held the rank of lieutenant back in Boston as a firefighter.
Well, isn't that a unique combination?
I'm a thief.
Why does that not surprise me?
She has moved her purse to hang on the other side away from him.
John starts rifling through it.
A little bitty cheap, like $50 track phone, her ID, and she's like smacked his hand as he's doing it.
Ouch, lass!
You should ask a lady before you rifle through her belongings.
I was just making a joke.
She kind of smirks and she goes, "Well, do it again and I'll put you in the same hole Mother's in."
You've piqued me interest, lass.
She kind of like rolls her eyes like a teenager almost would.
Ken. Yes. I've made some forays into polymer science that are very basic, and I can outfit us with some rudimentary protection if it comes to that. I would suggest that we focus specifically on one task at a time. That is my suggestion. Take it with a grain of salt.
That would make sense.
Sounds like the best plan right now.
As loath as I am to agree with the autistic squirrel here, I do agree.
Valkyrie's hands shoot up to her mouth. For a moment, it looks like she's going to crack up, and then she stops and regains that cool composure. Apparently, I've drinking too much this evening. I'm sorry.
Well, I would first like to start with if the disturbance, or would you like to focus on the disturbance, or would you like to focus on the discovery that I made with the others?
The discovery that we made, lad, has kind of been there for a while. The one that has the biggest chance of cooking off would be the religious pressures.
None of that is English. What was that?
The disturbance might be the best issue to deal with at first.
Oh, okay. Well, I would suggest we start at the base. At the base bottoms is that okay? It is a giant ruin now, but it was not always a giant ruin. Researching city records and things of that nature would give us some insight into that. So I would suggest we legwork first. Then after that, we would come at it with a more potential plan. Unless any of you, by some means, can
At this
go
point,
to
Valkyrie has just raised her hand. I know it's hard for you, but breathe between sentences, please. Also, could you and I believe it's Raiden do the file work? I have legwork I can do and check on, but it doesn't involve paper. I can ask my friends what they know about the situation. She's fiddling with her fingers while she says this.
Ma'am, may I be blunt?
Yes.
I don't care how you do what you do. Just do it and then get us some information. That'd be great.
Yes, sir.
Now, that being said, if anyone can go to the site and in a non-standard way evaluate the material there.
I will need Raiden or Blackwell to guard my physical form.
What you need, lass?
Preferably Raiden. I'm not sure my unconscious body could be protected well by an explosion.
Okay, whatever, lass. Suit yourself.
None of that is English.
I could, what I'm saying is just step over if you wish, I believe is the right term for what I do, Mr. Engel said.
I don't suggest you do that.
Just let me know when you wish to go, and we will get it sorted out.
Ma'am, I don't suggest you do that.
I do it almost every day.
The area that we were there, they seemed well versed in dimensional science, and I'm not sure it'd be a good idea to do whatever it is you plan to do, however you plan to do it. I would peek. I would look. I hear there's a way to do that. I don't know how, but I hear there is.
You've never met another walker, have you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a parent squirrel. So, paperwork, investigation, eliminate, threat. Is that the proceedings we're taking?
I hadn't planned on eliminating anyone. I had planned on solving the mystery.
It's a basic term for now. Think of it like a placeholder.
That wasn't a denial. That was me saying I didn't understand. But now that I can do, I will. All right. So, paperwork, investigation, killing things, right?
Which I'm sure all three of you are quite well at all of those tasks. Much better than anyone else I know.
I don't kill people.
At this point, she's fidgeting with the strap of her belt. She does not know what else to say in this moment.
Raiden, as the head of the defensive contingent, is there anything that you would like to say?
Just try not to be stupid whenever we go and deal with whatever threat this is.
Yes, I think looking before we leap is a good tactic that we should use.
Yeah, what's that ever accomplished?
A lot of things, like not dying.
Not
Details.
bones as you hit the water. So, I guess that's all we really needed besides getting to know each other. But she looks at Aaron. I don't think Mr. Aaron is interested in knowing anything past our abilities for this job.
If that's important for the rest of you, I suggest you take advantage of that sort of tactic. It's just not for me.
It might be useful to know who we're working with. After all, I don't know all of you. I only know the city.
I can create a dossier.
You really know everyone here and about them?
I know me. I don't know the rest of you.
If that's what you're comfortable with, I'll read a dossier if you make it.
I don't understand what it is that you want. Beyond this specific circumstance, what is the purpose of what you want, what you're asking for?
She just wants to get to know you, lad, so that she could be your friend. Just tell her something about yourself. Tell her you're a hit mark.
Technically, a hit mark is less advanced than I am.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
To some,
She'll look at Raiden. What about you? I know one of you's a fireman, one's a hit mark. Anything unique about you?
I'm just a wanderer.
A wanderer who's good with a sword, and he looks Asian. There's a trope for you.
Aaron takes one step back.
Yeah, I actually gotta make a roll now.
Oh, this thing's about to get real.
Depends on if I pass this roll or not.
You took short fuse again, didn't you, Tiger?
I did. I live with it. Okay. So Raiden looks a bit perturbed for a second, and then he lets out a deep breath and says, "It is simply my calling in life. It's just as yours seems to be getting drunk and waving your magical phallus around in everyone else's faces."
It's not a phallus, it's a wand.
I was about to say, I didn't see any phalluses here.
There were a couple of fallacies.
Marcus, I only heard half of that. Your character is a very quiet mutterer.
I was attempting to be surreptitious, which means you get to beat my Arcane 5.
Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, what exactly do I need to roll for that?
I believe it's just straight arete for that one, isn't it?
No, perception plus alertness or whatever. John says listening to something.
Yeah, it would probably be a perception alertness.
Is John still there?
Yeah, it would be perception alertness for
Okay,
listening.
just wanted to make sure. You're
And
the
lose,
SD.
and lose 5 dice.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't get to roll anything. Okay. Boo.
It's not my problem.
Suck it.
Yep. Arcane automatically subtracts from your die pool, not your successes.
Well, then I guess if that's all you have to share, we're done talking job work until we do the tasks.
I think we should touch base again at some point during the week to discuss what we have learned.
Well,
It's I figure it's safe to assume that none of you will be working with me. So we will meet.
no. I mean, most people don't like working with me, so unless you need my help, which I'm always available. I'm just not good with that. And she like points towards where he put his phone.
You're not good with my pocket?
Your phone.
What about my phone?
I'm
It's a
not good
phone.
with it. It's weird. It doesn't have buttons. Why doesn't it have a button?
Because I talk directly to it.
Oh, you're one of those. Okay.
And yes, John is just cackling like an idiot now.
She looks over. Mr. Blackwell, are you all right?
Oh, I'm perfect, lass.
You know you can call me by my name. You don't have to call me lass. I'm not a girl. Well, a little girl.
It's a time of endearment, love. Or would you prefer love instead of lass?
She looks very confused. She goes, I need to get used to the way you talk, apparently.
I've shared all the information that I can or that you're willing to hear, and I think it's time for me to go to work. So I'm going to leave now.
It was nice meeting you, Mr. Aaron the squirrel.
Those are not any one of my designations. I will steal us a hotel room where we can all meet and be refreshed so that we won't have to learn each other's domiciles and feel uncomfortable because sharing is bad.
She kind of shrugs. I don't care if you guys know where I live. You can't hurt me there.
Sharing is bad. Sharing is bad, as is honest talk. Sharing is bad.
She's going to wait before she makes her next comment till Marcus's character is left.
He leaves.
He doesn't have many friends, and someone has hurt him, hasn't they? Haven't they?
No, he's been built like that, lass. She's special.
I should make him cookies.
That would be a good idea.
Maybe some special cookies with something to help him relax. Well, is there anything else you wish to discuss with me, or else I can leave Mr. Blackwell and you to bonding over drinks?
You can just call me John, lass.
Okay, Mr. John.
No. Just, never mind.
I can't think of anything. I'll more than likely be taking my leave as well here shortly.
She looks at Blackwell. Don't forget your coffee. I guess, She'll kind of like shrug. I guess I should go back to Uncle Angle then. It was nice meeting you.
John would stand if I believe he was sitting anyway, and
Yeah.
say, "Have a good night, lass."
Since I've actually met some people my age, it was better than I expected. And she will return to her contact and ask where she could get a bottle of Ritalin.
All right. Well, he doesn't have an answer offhand, but he says if it's necessary, he can see what he can do.
She tells him she'll bake him a cake in trade.
Yeah. Nods and
I'm thinking about leaving and going back to the graveyard early. Did you need me to stay here any longer?
he says, no, I don't think that'll be necessary.
Thanks. Some of the people here have been lovely to meet, but they have a lot of voices around them. We have a lot of murderers among our people. Have you noticed that?
He chuckles and says, you have no idea.
No one near kill was bad. All right. I'm going home where it's slightly quieter.
He nods and says, well, have a safe trip.
I will. I'll duck to a sidestep if I need to. Get away from anything dangerous. She'll give him a hug though before she leaves, and she'll wave bye to the other two gentlemen as she leaves.
All right. Anything else for anyone?
Nope, I think I'm good.
I'll have some blue thing later, but yeah.
Fair enough. All right. We will go ahead and wrap this up then. Thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching. This has been a mage edition of Nightfall in Amsterdam. We look forward to you joining us again.